Okay, good morning guys. You can see it's almost 7 a.m. and like I mentioned, we're going to test the fuel economy today on that Sequoia, and how we're going to do it is by commuting. We're going to do something that a lot of you guys do every single day. I used to do it every single day. We're going to commute in this big SUV, and we're going to see what kind of fuel economy we get, but I'm actually going to try and get the best fuel economy possible, and I'll share a few tips on the best ways to drive to maximize your fuel economy along the way. So let me just finish brewing my coffee here and let's hit the road.
Okay, let's get started here with our fuel economy challenge. Now, this thing is rated at 13 miles per gallon in the city and 17 on the highway for a combined 14 miles per gallon. Now, the Nissan Armada is not much better. It also gets 13 in the city, but it gets 18 miles per gallon on the highway. And then if you look at things like the Chevy Tahoe or the Ford Expedition, they're actually a few miles per gallon better than this Sequoia is. So we're just pulling into the gas station right now. We'll fuel up. We'll do what we normally do. We'll count the liters that go into the tank. And then we will do our own math later on. So, you know, we'll look at what the trip computer says, but I don't trust the computer. And in the last Toyota I was in, the computer was actually a little harsh. I got better fuel economy according to my math. So let's see if that's the same case with this big Sequoia.
Okay, there's the first click, so now we wait 30 seconds. And there's 30.
And we're currently averaging 19.1 liters per 100 kilometers. Now it's worth mentioning the Canadian ratings for the Sequoia, which are 18.4 liters per 100 in the city, 13.8 on the highway, and 16.4 liters per 100 combined. So our trip is reset. We have 653 kilometers of range. There, total average has been reset, and we'll reset trip A. So it's all zeroed out. Now let's see if we can't beat that rating. Okay, and we're off. Fuel economy drive in the Toyota Sequoia. Now this thing has the 5.7 liter V8, 381 horsepower, 401 pound-feet of torque. And because we have the towing package here, we have the 430 rear end. So everything is kind of working against us in terms of fuel economy, but that's okay. We're gonna drive nicely and we're gonna beat those ratings. I know it, we're gonna beat them. So arguably the most important part of driving fuel efficiently, in my opinion, is patience. So if you want to drive as fuel efficiently as possible, you want to be very smooth with the accelerator, no hard acceleration. You want to leave a lot of distance between you and the vehicle in front of you to make sure that you don't need to brake, because it's momentum, right? Once your momentum is built up, anytime you take that momentum away, well, right away you're going to have to, you know, accelerate to get back up to speed. So patience is key. Pack your patience. If you want to save fuel, be patient. Make sure you leave space, take your time. If you're in a rush, you're gonna burn more fuel. There's just no two ways about it. And again, the key is you want to lose as little speed as possible, right? So a nice smooth merge. I'm trying not to use my brake, and here we go. Perfect. Now, stop and go traffic is even trickier, and you have to be even more patient, because the real key and what you can do to really help your fuel economy is leave a large gap in front of you. You're not getting anywhere. Look at where the traffic is. I can't go past that car in front of me. So you leave a long gap. That way I can drive nice and smooth, and I don't need to be on my brakes, back on the gas, back on the brakes. All right, now speed is picking up, But the other thing you have to do is anticipate the traffic. So I'm not staring at the back of the car in front of me. I'm looking 10 cars ahead, and I can already see them braking. So I know this guy's gonna have to brake. So that's the key, right? You want to anticipate the traffic. Look far ahead. Don't stare at the taillights right in front of you. Look up ahead to see exactly what that guy's going to be doing. Now, so far, this is perfect. I got this huge gap in front of me. I'm cruising along right about 50 kilometers an hour, and nice and smooth. See, that Volkswagen's in a rush. She's not going to get good fuel economy on her drive to work today. So in terms of vehicle settings here, I have it in two-wheel drive, of course, because four-wheel will burn more fuel. And I have the air conditioning turned off. I don't want to get too sweaty on this drive, so I might turn it on really low in a little bit. But for now, the AC is off because that will also help me save gas. So this commute you're on right now with me is from my house in North Brampton to downtown Toronto. And a UK-based firm called Expert Market, well, they recently put out a study which suggested that Toronto is the worst city for commuting in all of North America. Now, the study took into account people waiting for buses and wait times for trains and subways, so it wasn't just about driving, but absolutely traffic was part of it. And you know, studies aside, I can just confirm from personal experience, Toronto has horrible traffic. The fact that it's a Friday and it's the summertime is actually keeping things kind of light this morning, but I still anticipate as we get closer to downtown that we'll be sitting in a bunch of stop and go. There's another big factor for fuel economy too, and that's just straight up speed. So here on our 400 series highways, the speed limit is 100 kilometers an hour. Now, I know that the big trucks, they're speed rated at 105. So, you know, doing 100, you actually end up really getting in the way. So I'm going to do about 106. That's my plan, to be just faster than the trucks, but not too fast. Now, most people up here in Canada drive about 120. 20 kilometers over the speed limit is kind of the accepted normal, even though it's above the speed limit. You're not going to get pulled over for doing 120. But I don't want to do 120 today. I want to keep this thing really efficient. So like I said, I'm going to do my best to stick at 105, 106. Another fuel efficiency tip, check your tire pressures. Now, you want the tires to be at whatever the recommended PSI is by the manufacturer, but if you want to cheat a little bit, you can actually overinflate the tires. That'll make a smaller contact patch with the ground, and it'll give you slightly better fuel efficiency. However, like I just said, if you do that, make sure you know the tire is going to perform differently. Now, what I'm doing today is certainly not hypermiling. You've probably heard that term, hypermiling. Well, what I'm doing today, you know, I'm keeping up with traffic, I'm not in anyone's way, and most importantly, I'm absolutely safe. Now, the thing with hypermiling is some of those techniques that people use to save fuel are really dangerous. For instance, tailgating large trucks. If you sit right on the bumper of a large truck's trailer, you're going to basically sit in its slipstream. So the truck is breaking the air up for you, making you more aerodynamic. But you probably already heard what I just said, right? Tailgating a big truck. He can't see you there. The driver of the truck can't see you. So that's a very poor idea. One of the other big things with hypermiling is like I said, speed. So I know some hypermilers who will drive under the speed limit just for the sake of saving fuel. Now, I want to save gas too, but that's just dangerous. I don't want to get in people's way. When you're on a busy highway, if you're driving considerably under the speed limit, that's just as dangerous as driving way over the speed limit. So another area where the Sequoia could improve its fuel efficiency is with its transmission. It still uses a 6-speed automatic, unlike all of its competitors these days, which are using 8 and even 10 speeds. Okay, I got some more traffic coming now. So again, I'm slowing down, way back. I'm going to try to leave a big gap in front of me so I don't have to come to a complete stop, but that's not going to work right now. Traffic's just a little too heavy. Keep rolling, everybody. Keep rolling. Yeah, no. I can't do it. Alright guys, I'm getting hot, so I'm going to turn the air conditioning on. I'm not going to turn it on high, just on fan setting 1. And yeah, that's way nicer. And again, you know, I'm not hypermiling here. This is a normal commute. And on your normal commute, I'm sure you turn the AC on because you don't want to sweat in your car either. So the air conditioning is now turned on at the 17.3 kilometer mark. And just for the record, I'm currently getting 10.4 liters per 100. There's that air conditioning kicking in. I wish more of my commutes were like this. This is nice today. So we're just about to merge onto the Gardiner Expressway, which is the main highway from the west end anyway, that brings you directly into downtown. And once we get down there, I'm going to exit on Spadina Avenue and we'll head north a few blocks. So we'll do a little bit of city driving as well, because most commutes are like that, right? You know, a bunch of highway and then some city driving at either end. Oh, hello. All right, so now the Gardiner is jammed. So now we're really going to get some stop and go numbers here. This is more akin to what I'm used to from a day of Toronto traffic. So update, we're currently getting 10.5 liters per 100 at the 33.3 kilometer mark. But this traffic is really killing me. So comparing to that Tundra that I was in last week, the Sequoia rides better. The independent rear suspension just gives it a much more supple ride, so it kind of lopes down the road. It doesn't have the stiffness or chatter that the Tundra has. And then it has a strong engine, nice smooth engine, nice sounding V8. It's got tons of space inside. There's a lot of good things about the Sequoia. The real downside to me is the fact that this interior kind of looks like it's straight out of the 90s, even though I know it was designed in the 2000s. So currently we're averaging 21.8 miles per gallon, and the highway rating for this thing is 17, so we are absolutely killing the rating right now. But once again, we still have quite a bit more stop and go traffic, so I'm really hoping that I can keep it smooth enough and we can beat the rating. I want to beat the EPA, and I want to beat Natural Resources Canada. All right, so ever since we hit the stop and go, heavy stop and go, yeah, we're almost a liter per 100 worse than when we first merged onto the Gardiner. And we're coming up on our 40 kilometer trip total. So this is probably needless to say, but stop and go traffic is not good for fuel economy. So now we're getting into the city, and all of those same techniques still apply, they just have to be sort of used a little differently. So again, really gentle throttle. My fuel economy is creeping up and I do not like it. Oh man, we're at 11.7 liters per 100 now, at a trip total of 44.3 kilometers. I'm not too happy about how this has been creeping up on me, but that's what city driving is, you know? What can you do? You know what? We'll take a right here on Queen Street, and we'll swing back around on Richmond to Spadina, and then we'll get some gas, and we'll do some math for you. Yeah, I mean, you've seen it, you know, down here I'm dealing with pedestrians and stop signs and cyclists, so, you know, you're stopping so much more often in the city. So that's when the takeoff becomes really important. You have to just be ultra smooth. And I will say about the Sequoia, you know, I think because it has so much power down low, it's really easy to take off smooth. It seems pretty simple to modulate the fuel here. Okay, we're pulling in the gas station. Let's see how she did. There's the total. 12.1 liters per 100. 45.3, 1 hour and 10 minutes. Pretty typical commute time. Now real quickly, for all the US viewers, we'll go over here, we'll change the units, we'll go over to MPG USA, and how are we doing miles per gallon? That's 19.4 miles per gallon, which is much better than the EPA rating. So, all right, let's fill it up. guys, time to do the math on this. So we do 6.116 divided by the distance, which is 45.3, multiplied by 100 to move the decimal, and we get 13.5 liters per 100, which is actually a little worse than what the computer was saying. And that's especially interesting when you consider last week in the tundra, the computer was worse than the real world, whereas this week, the real world is a little worse than the computer. So there it is, boom! You can beat the ratings, and I just did. And that just goes to show you that even in a vehicle like this Sequoia, which is massive and heavy and powerful, you can get decent fuel economy. You just have to adjust the way you drive. Now, as always, guys, subscribe and come on back here to TFL Truck for the latest in news, views, and real-world fuel economy reviews. See ya!